Today on Smacky's Garage, we're going to be installing Boost Auto's new power folding running boards on my F-150. We're going to go ahead, we're going to test them out, and I'm going to give you some first impressions of them. So let's go ahead, let's jump into it. So in the kit, you get a lot of different parts to pull this together, but as I'm going through the instructions, everything looks really simple to do. Now, the first step we're gonna have to do is we're actually gonna take off the previous running boards on the truck. So I have the standard chrome package on my truck, which comes with the standard running boards, and they came off nice and easily. I was kind of surprised being in the New England winters for about 5 or 6 years, but definitely came off nice and easy. So after those off, we can go ahead and take a look at what came in the package from Boost Auto. Now everything's nicely packaged in the kit, and you can see here that there's 2 motors. We have the passenger front, the driver front motor, and then the rears are non-side specific, so we can go ahead and put them on either side. Now these motors here are pretty heavy duty. They are pretty hefty themselves, so we're gonna get those up into place and get everything ready. Now with it came all new hardware, so I have the power step module here, so this is what's gonna be sending the signals and controlling it. I have all new hardware, all new bolts and nuts, which is great because I don't like using the old corroded ones. The first thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and hang the driver's side front module up there, and then we're gonna put the rear module back there. Now, I'm gonna use the new hardware that they gave us, and it should be pretty straightforward. There's gonna be 3 studs, both in the front and the rear, that we need to install this on. Now, these are heavy, so make sure they don't come down on you. Now, while getting these installed, you're gonna be using the washer that's provided as well as the nut, and you're not gonna tighten anything up yet. Now, the main reason why you're not gonna tighten anything up yet is because you wanna make sure that you can get everything aligned as they're going up, because if they're not aligned, they're gonna jam. So everything is gonna go loosely on first. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the rear. One thing to note, the rear freely move, so don't get your fingers stuck. Now, after those are on, I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. Don't need to show that on camera, it's the same process. All right, now we get to run some wiring. On my kit, it's really not that bad. You know, I have the module that's gonna be connected up there, the fuse, the battery is up here, and then one line goes to each one of the motors, and then the other one comes inside the cabin compartment here to the OBD port. Let's go ahead and I'll show you how I'm gonna wire this. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna disconnect the battery, just because we don't want extra power going through any of the systems while we're wiring this. Now for me disconnecting the battery, I'm just gonna take off the negative side as I usually do. Now with the battery disconnected, I'm gonna go ahead and start running the passenger side one down. Now each one of these are labeled, so there's gonna be a passenger side and a driver side. So for the passenger side one, we're gonna run it down the fender and out. All right, now to get this one, all I had to do was take it, route it down there, and then just out the bottom behind the fender well. I did not need to remove anything down here to get it through, and I was able to just reach my hand up and pull it through, but now that that's through, I'm gonna go ahead and connect it to the motor. Now, I'm gonna let the wires hang just for a little while now. I'll neaten them up all later. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the driver's side. I'm gonna take the wire, run it down the fender, down there to the motor. Now I've just been routing it down this hole down here. I should be able to just reach underneath. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and get the signal wire run. So I've just looped it over the front of the truck right now. We're gonna take that signal wire. I'm actually gonna create a small hole in there on that piece right there, just to pass it through. So those are the wires that are going into the firewall and then into the chassis, because these do need to go to the OBD port on the truck internal to the cab. So I'm just gonna take something small, sharp, probably an X-Acto knife, and then I'm gonna cut a tiny small slit there to get it through. Now, since this is being a little bit of a pain to get through, it's really hard to get these wires through because they're just such small gauge. So I just taped a much thicker wire to it, and I'm gonna use this to push through so that I can pull it through the other side. And under the truck, it's a success. You can see the wire right there. So now all I really have to do is take this, pull it. Hopefully those wires come with it. They did. So now we're gonna move to the OBD connector here, and we're gonna need to make some modifications and tap into the wires. So to do this, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take out both of these bolts and drop it down. All right, with this module, we're gonna be working the back. So I gotta tap into 2 of these wires. So pin 20 back here is gonna be high, and then pin 19 is gonna be low. So it's going to be hard for me to record it, but I'm going to use their little wire tap that they provided here. And this side is going into the OBD side. We're going to do this side first, and then we'll clamp it into here. So I'm going to go ahead, figure out which one is pin 20 for my high. But the easiest way to figure out which is you can actually see that they're labeled on the plastic itself. All right, so they're both on. Now, for mine, it was a blue wire and a white wire. The easiest way to figure out which is which, and the way that I did it is I looked for pin 24 on the back here. I don't know if you can see it labeled on the camera, but there's a 12 on one side, 24 on the other. And then I just counted from the other side over to find pins 19 and 20. Now that I have those, I can go ahead and connect in the 2 wires that came through, and we can test it out. And like I was saying, 20 is going to high, 19 is going to low. No, I wouldn't recommend doing this on the battery, but I gotta loosen up these cables, so I'm gonna tighten the battery clamps back together so that I can get the 2 battery cables on the battery itself. Now, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna plug this into the module, and then after I do that, I'm gonna go test. I'm gonna plug the battery in, make sure everything works. Now with that clipped in, I should just be able to put the battery back on, open the door, and those should move. So quick test, so I open this. Yeah, they came right out. Shut the door. Go back in. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna take 4 carriage bolts. I'm gonna put in each one of these. I'm just gonna go ahead, take it, slide it into the track, because that's what we're gonna be using to put it on the truck. And I'm gonna slide each one of these down into position so that it lines up somewhat with where it's gonna locate on the truck. And then we're gonna go ahead and put them on. All right, so after I've located this where I want it front to back, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tighten these down. So I'm gonna start with these and I'm gonna work my way back up to the folding hinges. All right, so I went ahead and tightened everything up. I still don't have the wiring buttoned up, but as you can see, they work really well. Open them, shut them, come down, go right back up as they should. I'll go ahead and get the other side done and give them a little bit more of a test. All right, now the first thing I wanna note about these are awesome. So I really like them. You know, I haven't had them on the truck that long, but you know, there's a few key things that I really like about them. Now, one of the first things that I like about them is they're actually a little bit lower than the OEM ones, so it's an easier step to get in. You know, while that isn't that big of a plus, it's still nice to be in a more natural place than the OEM ones. Now, it's probably because I have slightly bigger tires on my truck, but you know, I really do like where this puts it. Then the other side is, it's really nice to see, you know, that there. And then when you shut this, you know, it's going to stay there for a second, and then it's gonna pull and tuck itself in. And then as you open the door, you know, it comes right out and it's there for you to step on. And you know, they feel really sturdy. So compared to the OEM ones, I will say these don't creak as much. I'm really happy no matter where I'm standing on these. You know, all in all, these are awesome. I really do like them. I like the logo and everything on them. You know, they look great on the truck and they're very functional. So I really do, you know, I prefer the clean look of having the truck without a step on it. So with that, it gives me that look. Then I think the other thing that I really like about it, it does give you a little bit more clearance compared to where it was previously with those lower. And I think it just gives the truck a better overall look. And then since it is connected to the OBD port, it's getting the signal. So no matter where you open the door, it's gonna open for you. So you don't need to worry about opening the driver's side, passenger side, or the rear seats. You know, in the end, I'm really happy with the performance of these. I think they look great. I think they function really well. You know, I'm gonna do a follow-up video in the winter and I've over the boost step, the boost mirrors, to say how everything's holding up. But so far, really like them. Thanks for tuning in this week on Smackey's Garage. I'll see you next time.